Hi, and welcome to Salesforce's Release Readiness Live for Summer 16. Thanks for joining us. Whether you've been able to join us for any of our previous sessions for this release, or if this is your first exposure to Summer 16. I'm Mike Torres, and it's great to be back for the final live segment as we discuss all of the latest features and developments that Salesforce's Community Cloud has to offer. Now, if this is your first time joining us for Release Readiness Live, thanks for giving us a chance. You may have already read the release notes for Summer 16, but the entire purpose behind this session is to take those notes and bring them to life with conversations and demonstrations with our product team. And since we're live in Salesforce Studios right now, you still have a chance to submit questions and have them answered live on air. We're going to get to meet the product team in just a second. But before we meet the expert that we're going to be asking questions of, let's find out how we should engage with them. So to give us answers on that and more, I'm going to toss things over one last time to the Salesforce Success Community's own, Sam Acuff. Hey, Sam.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. And you should be seeing on the screen right now a picture of our Release Readiness and Feature Adoption group. That's one of the places that you can ask questions. I'm really excited. We have had lots of questions in there today. And use the hashtag Salesforce Live. That way I can collate and go look at these questions really quickly. Now, if you're a Twitter user, what you can do is ask a question on Twitter and again, use the hashtag Salesforce Live. If you join the group, or if you go into the group, please join today if you're not already a member. I'd like to see us top 19,000 members. That would be very exciting since this is a community session today. And remember, Salesforce Live is your hashtag. Mike, back to you.
All right, thanks, Sam. Now, before we hand things over to the experts, there are a few final pieces of logistics that I need to cover. As if you needed a reminder, this is our final live session for Summer 16, and we're going to be covering the Community Cloud. You can catch recordings of all of our Summer 16 content at www.salesforce.com/release readiness. And as a final point, before we get into the presentations, we are going to be looking at some of our product roadmap items today. So to properly set our expectations there, let's take a quick look at Salesforce's forward-looking statement slide. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this slide, it urges Salesforce customers to make purchasing decisions based only on currently available functionality. Simple as that. So without any further ado from myself, I'd like to pass things over to David so we can meet the product team and get into the presentations.
Great, thanks a lot, Mike. So my name is David Goldbrunner. I'm a Director of Product Management in the Community Cloud. My area of ownership are groups and profiles, chatter groups and profiles, which are both in internal Salesforce and in communities. So I'm going to be very happy to talk about communities and those products. And now, I'd like to introduce Harris.
Hi, everyone. I'm Harris Ikram. I'm also a Director of Product Management in Community Cloud. I'm going to be covering Salesforce Files and the employee community. Handing it off to Natalia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natalia Barina. I'm also Director of Product Management here at Salesforce. I work on predictive experiences and learning systems. In other words, Community IQ. Today, I'll be covering the community management aspect of our new release. Now, on to Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm a product manager on the Community Builder team. Today, I'll show you our Community Builder, and I'll show you new features, including profile-based page management and SEO enhancements. I'll show you how to use the Builder to build with clicks, not code.
Great. Now, before we move into the demo and talk about the features we have in Summer 16, I just want to give a little bit of a high-level introduction. Now, one of the things I love about Salesforce is our motto. You know, we're a customer company. We help make your customers love you. We help you learn about them, support them, connect to them, allow them to access their information on their phone using Salesforce One Mobile and other applications. And then to make things even better, I love being in the Community Cloud because we're really an integral part of that. I mean, a community is an internal, external, rich collaborative environment where you can collaborate with your customers, your partners, your suppliers, and of course your employees, right? And seamlessly tie in all of that rich, vital business information that's housed in Salesforce, so accounts, cases, opportunities, et cetera. And as you can see, this has really been a winning combination. The amount of customers we have and the size of the brand names that we have is just growing constantly. One figure that I really like is that 25% of our customers have multiple communities. Why just have one? You can have one for your customers, one for your partners, two for your partners. They're really easy to set up, and they're just highly effective. Now, I want to provide a little bit of a kind of intellectual framework here that we're going to talk about a lot as we go through these features. Now, we have what we call the system of record, and that's your business data and your files, your accounts, your opportunities, your files, your cases, your articles, et cetera. That's Sales Cloud, Service Cloud. And then we have the system of engagement, and that's really chatter and communities. And those are your feeds, your groups, your profiles, places where people interact. And we tie them together in the Community Cloud, and we allow you to interact seamlessly in a system of engagement around your system of record, your business data. And this supports 3 distinct type of communities, really any number, but 3 main categories: employee, right? Customer, which is mostly what we're going to focus on today, and partner, where you work with partners, suppliers, et cetera. And of course, this is all built on our incredibly scalable, powerful, and cool platform, the App Cloud, allowing you to basically meet whatever use case you want. So now let's get a little bit more into the details of Community Cloud Summer 16. So as it says on the slide, we have an amazing new release. We're going to talk about lots of features, but I want to focus on 8 in particular that I'd like you to, if you walk away with one thing, or 8 things really, it should be what's on this slide. So these features here are divided into themes. The first, as you can see, is what we call new self-service. And by this we mean really a greatly improved self-service experience in our Lightning customer-facing communities, which we're going to show you. So you're going to see things like, we're going to talk about things like improved search engine optimization so customers can find your community, great new moderation controls so you can really protect your brand and drive engagement, global search so that customers can easily find what they're looking for when they come to the community. And then we have a theme called Rich Experience, which really means allowing the person who builds the community in the Lightning Community Builder to provide a great rich experience, regardless of the community type, partner, customer, et cetera. And that means things like profile-based visibility, which is this really exciting new feature. We're going to see it. And what it really means is that depending on who's looking at the community, you can give them a completely different view of a page. Logged in user, non-logged in, customer, partner, et cetera. We've got improvements to our compact feed, our question feed, so you can easily see what questions have been asked and answered. You can now put 10 files on a feed post. Really, it looks great. We're going to show you. We've got a files home, so users in our Lightning communities can see the files they've uploaded. A tab component, Rachel's going to talk about that in the builder, allows you to really put tons of information on a page in an easily consumable way. Next theme here, we've got one feature. We've got more than one feature, but one I'm going to talk about here, and that's IQ. And that's really our system of intelligence on top of engagement and record. And that's where we surface things you really should know about. So we're going to talk about 2 new widgets, related articles and questions. And we're going to see related questions in action. And finally, frictionless collaboration. Well, we're the chatter people, right? We're always working to make the collaborative experience better, more seamless in communities and in internal Salesforce. And so we have a bunch of new features there. But the main one that we're really excited about is group engagement dashboards, which are going to allow you to see how healthy a chatter group is and help you drive engagement in that group. So just to set the stage, we're going to be a fictitious coffee company called Capricorn Coffee. We're a fictitious vendor of gourmet coffee and coffee accessories. And we're going to be working in the Capricorn Cafe, which is our Lightning-based customer-facing community. Our 2 actors are going to be Lauren Boyle. She is a coffee lover and a customer of Capricorn. And Eric, who wears many hats. He's a community manager, an admin, a service agent, et cetera. You know, we have to wear lots of hats around here. And we're going to do this demo in 4 vignettes. All right, so the first vignette is going to be self-service. So we're going to see Lauren come to the community and have a really rich self-service experience where she gets the information she needs and can interact with people in the community. Then Harris is going to show us how easy it is to collaborate using some of the new features in the Lightning experience for internal Salesforce. Then Natalia is going to talk about managing your community, protecting your brand, driving engagement. And finally, Rachel is going to show us how easy it is to create the community with clicks instead of code. So let's start looking at the self-service flow. And what we're going to do now is we're going to switch over to the phone. So Lauren, remember, she's our customer. Right? So she's on her mobile phone on the go. And she has bought actually a very fancy system, coffee maker from Capricorn called the Capricorn Platinum Pour-Over System. It's a pour-over coffee maker.
That's what we're seeing on your phone right now.
Okay, yes. So what's actually we're seeing on her phone is she wants support. She has a question to ask. So she's actually on her phone on the bus, and she's come to Capricorn's Cafe. And so the first thing I want to notice, or I want to point out, is how good this looks on mobile. It's responsive. We have our featured topic tiles. We can see what topics are trending. In fact, I can see that the Platinum Pour-Over system that Lauren has purchased is trending right now. Trending articles, blog posts, and the most recent conversations that are going on. And so what we can see here is that this is our new compact feed, one of the features we want to call out. So there's a lot of information here in a very readable form. How many people have viewed each question, how many people have liked it, how many comments there are, and whether there's a best answer. Okay. Now, what Lauren is trying to find out is actually what's the best coffee grinder to use with her Platinum system. Surprisingly, it actually makes a big difference to have a really good grinder to use with your system. All right, so she's looked through the information here, and she sees a question about the best type of coffee bean to use, but it's not quite what she's looking for. So what she's going to come up here, she's going to do is she's going to type coffee grinder into the search, right? And we're going to get type ahead results, including articles and discussions, right? Now she sees a history of the coffee grinder. Oh, that's cool, but not quite what she's looking for, all right? So she's going to hit return. And what we're going to see here is actually one of our main new features, which is global search results in the community. So now I can see results from many different types of objects, discussions, articles. I can completely control what the user sees here, which objects we expose here in this global search results, including based on that person's profile, who they are. Right, so she can look at the discussions, she can look at the articles. Right. She notices something interesting here. There are chatter groups in the community. So she's going to take a look. Oh, look, that one looks interesting. Platinum power users. She loves her Platinum system. So she's going to definitely check that out in a little bit. Right. So she's still, though, not quite seeing what she's looking for, which is fine, because we make it really easy for her to log in. You can use your standard social media OAuth. Right. In this case, she's going to use actually just her username. So she's going to log in. And now I want you to notice something, actually, is that we're going to talk about this a little bit more. But when she returns to the home page now, she actually sees something different. All right, this is our first hint of that profile-based access. So she sees this banner here telling her now that she's been recognized and she has 100 points in her Capricorn rewards account. So remember, her goal was to ask a question. So here we guide her. She has to choose a navigational topic. Right? And now she's going to put in a question saying, what is the best grinder to use with my Platinum pour-over system? Right? And then she's going to put in some more information so that the service agent can really answer the question. So she's going to attach some photos. So here's another one of our nice new features for Summer 16. I can add up to 10 files. So what she's going to do is she's going to attach photos of the product she's currently using so that the service agent really knows what she's up to and can answer her question. So she's going to ask this question. Okay. And now, here we go to the question. Now, one of the first things to notice here is that this has already been, well, first of all, she's been sent an email just informing her that her question's been received. But this has automatically been escalated to a case because we are actually pushing a line of coffee grinders, and this is so important to us that we want to capture all of the questions that come in around coffee grinder. And so this is a perfect example of that seamless integration between the system of engagement, Lauren asking a question, and the system of record, creating a service cloud case that we can track and answer. Right? So here in the question, she can see that the question's been successfully asked. She can see that a case has been created. Right? But what she really wants to do is, let's say she's really impatient, right? So she's going to hit that Chat Now button, and using Salesforce's Live Agent product, she's actually going to communicate directly with an agent who already responds and says, hey, Lauren, how can I help you today? Right? And she's going to respond and say, hi, can you respond to my case? I have a big dinner coming up. She really wants the best grinder so she can serve the best coffee to her guests. And so the agent is going to be able to talk back to her and say, sure, right away. Oops, he meant sure with an exclamation point. Okay, so this is a really good time to transition from Lauren on the phone to the laptop where the service agent, Eric Ware, has already started handling her case. So what you can see right now is the system actually recognized her incoming request. and it's pulled up Lauren's profile. So we see the communication here. This is her profile. We actually even have her social media feed showing here, and we can see she's posted on Twitter that she's loving her new Capricorn Coffee Platinum pour-over system. So I know this is a friendly customer, a really enthusiastic customer. And I can scroll down here, and on the cases related list, I can view the case that she just posted. Right? So I see details. Right? I'm going to close this up to give myself a little more space. And I want to respond to her, so I'm going to open the Knowledge tab here, and I'm going to set up to do a community post. I'm going to post back to her question on the community. And then the system makes it really easy. So it turns out the information about grinders is in this accessories article. It makes it really easy for me to post that back into the community, right, and share that with her. And in a moment, she's going to see that on the question that she posted. Now, one other really cool thing, which is going to set us up for Harris's demo, is that I'm noticing a lot of these grinder cases. So I'm actually going to @mention now in an internal post a chatter group dedicated to customer service, so that the folks in that group know and see this is Capricorn coffee only, so Salesforce's enterprise class security is making sure that I'm by default posting internally only. And so I can now share to this group and say, hey, we're getting a lot of these cases. Folks in the group can look at the case and can really understand what's going on. So you're going to see a bit of that with Harris. All right, so now what we want to do is come back to the phone. And so remember, Lauren's just still doing this all on the bus, right? She's chatted, she said, hey, get back to me. And in fact, Eric has responded, hi, check out this article, and she can now click on the article and get the information she needs. So that's a really rich, satisfying service flow right there on the phone. Now, let's switch back to the laptop again. So one more switch here. And I want to show you something. So this is Lauren actually on her desktop or her laptop now. And you can again see the difference here between her unlogged in view and the authenticated view. And again, that's the profile-based access in action. So now, Lauren's on the computer. She got her question answered on the phone, but she remembered there were some other things in this community that she really wanted to explore. And the first thing, if you remember, was she saw this really cool group called Platinum Power Users. So she's going to click into that. Now, as you can see here, we have chatter groups in our Lightning community templates. They're completely customizable. So here I'm telling my power users that they should sign up for the Coffee World Conference. I can put any component anywhere. There are a few very important use cases that add a ton of value to service communities with groups. There are three main ones are scoped forums. So if you want people to be able to discuss and ask questions but control who's in the group, such as, for example, only the people who own a certain product, great use case for that. Interest groups like this one, people who are power users of a product, who are beta testers of a product. And finally, community management. It's a great place. You can create an unlisted group, and the internal and external folks who run the community can communicate in that group. So again, we've got beautiful big images here, customizable banners, completely customizable components, rich feed. Let's take a look at this question here. So while she's exploring this group, well, she just found out the best grinder, and now she can read about the best beans to use. And what we see here actually are great examples of some new feed features, so inline images, right in post. Right? Best answer is highlighted. Right? And so she can read through this and she can get even more information that's going to help her engage with other people in the community and have an even better experience with her product. Now, remember I was talking about IQ. This is new for Summer 16, that's the related questions list. And this is using our system of intelligence to surface questions that are relevant to the one she's already looking at. Now, she notices this guy, Joe Coffee here, who's posted this question. She thinks he looks pretty cool, all right? She wants to know more about him, so let's click into his profile and use that as an opportunity to look at the new improved profile in our customer-facing Lightning communities. So what we're really focusing on here is identity, like who is this guy and what does he know? Is he an authoritative expert on what he's talking about, etc.? So I can see some information about him, his social media, his background, and I can see that he's really knowledgeable and has been endorsed on a number of topics in this community. Right? And so I have confidence that this is a guy who's interesting and who I want to follow get updates on, and who I may even want to chat to and say, hey, how you doing? Let's talk about the Platinum system. Now, finally, last thing we want to explore here is the new, again for Summer 16, the new Files home, where I can actually see these are the files that I uploaded in my post. Right. Now, this screen here, where you can see files that you own and that have been shared with you, et cetera, is particularly useful for MVPs and power users who want to answer other people's questions and easily be able to repost files without having to re-upload them each time. Right. You can just, in your post, you can select from the files you already have in Salesforce. So hopefully I've given you a good sense of this really rich new self-service experience. And Lauren's had her question, she's asked her question, she's had it answered, she's engaged in the community, she's discovered lots of good information. And so I'm going to end there, and I'm going to pass it back to you, Mike.
Thanks. Now, I think there's a lot that you've showed already that customers have, a lot of excitement over.
Yeah.
But it's not about what I think about what customers think. It's about what they think. So, Sam, what are our customers asking so far?
Well, one of the questions that I want to get to from Kara is she would like to know what are some of the things that you would recommend that she looks at in Summer 16 for partner communities?
That's a really great question. And there is a really rich, long answer to that. So I think what would probably be best is we're going to answer every question that gets posted, and so we will respond to that with specific information on that, which I think will be a lot more helpful than me just trying to rattle them off now.
That's great. Yeah. And in the meantime, I did do a search on partner communities in the release notes because the HTML is searchable. So there's quite a bit of stuff that applies. So that's something that Kara, you can do for yourself when you have time. So
and certainly all of the builder features and the general features such as the components and the feed capabilities and all of that stuff is going to be relevant, as I said earlier, to every kind of community based on our community builder.
Exactly.
Employee, partner, customer, et cetera.
Awesome. Okay, so that's one of the things that I would recommend. So let's talk a little bit about how does the profile-based access work inside of the community? So
it's a great question. Rachel's going to show that a bit in Community Builder, but I can just give you kind of a high level. Basically, you create what are called page variations, and then you assign user profiles to those.
Awesome. And if Rachel's going to show more than that, just in terms of, I think people want to see and understand how to customize the profile. You talked a little bit about that. Are we going to demo that a little bit more later? Or?
When Rachel does the builder, you will see how pretty much any page in this community is made of drag and droppable components that can be arranged in almost any order you want.
Okay, alrighty. Then, Mike, I think what we should do is continue on because more questions are going to pop up.
Sounds like a great plan. So I think I want to pass things back to David and Harris so we can continue with the demo.
Great. So, Harris, you ready to go?
Fantastic. Thank you, David. So let's switch over to the slides and cover what I'm going to demo today.
All right, take it away, Harris.
Great. So let's continue on Eric's journey. He started in the community and he started in the Service Console. What I'm going to show next is this fantastic Lightning experience that Salesforce has invested in. All the features you know and love, like Chatter and Files, are also available in Lightning, and we've made a number of key enhancements in this release. And so let's dig into that. Right now, I'm in the Lightning experience, and I'm jumping into the Feeds home. Here, I've just clicked the Feeds home, and I'm going to minimize the tab. There we go. This is the Feeds home. We've made a number of key enhancements to the Feeds home in this release. The first one is you can refresh the Feeds home without having to refresh the page. There we go. I've just refreshed it. It was quick and seamless. Fantastic. We've also added infinite scroll to the feed. For really engaged communities and really engaged orgs, now you have infinite scroll and you do not have to wait. This is a really great
No more
experience.
clicking, view more posts, right?
No more clicking.
Yeah.
It is magic.
Nice.
And we've also shifted to a 3-panel layout. So this is the new panel on the left side. You can see what I follow. That's the standard feed you've seen in the past. You can also filter by the To Me, so where you've been mentioned in posts, feed posts that you've bookmarked, and the all company feed posts. These are some really great features. Let's continue on Eric's journey, however. So, as David was demoing earlier, Eric mentioned the customer service group.
Oh, there's that feed post I made earlier.
Fantastic. All right, so Eric wants to make sure he is doing Lauren justice. He's seen a couple of questions around the coffee grinder, and he wants to make sure he has the latest documentation and the latest information on the coffee grinder. So we've jumped into the customer service group. Wow, look at this gorgeous smileys in the background. So groups do not have to be boring. Groups, even customer service groups, can be fun, engaging, and enlightening.
Yes.
And that's what we've invested in this release. You have this larger banner, the gorgeous smileys in the background, and you have an enlarged feed image as well, a group image rather. And you can see the smiley card right here.
And it creates a really inviting place for your team collaboration, even internally, right?
Absolutely, David. Groups can be used for internal collaboration for teams. They can be used in customer communities. They can be used in partner communities. There are a lot of different use cases for groups. And so the other thing that we've done here is the group page can be customized using the app builder. And so you can move components around and really customize the experience based off your needs. That is new as well. Fantastic. Let's continue our harbor tour on groups. So with group admins, they've always wondered how their groups are doing. What's the engagement? And what we've added is the engagement metrics. Let's look at the engagement metrics right here. So the first chart shows you feed posts. Wow, this group is pretty active. There's a lot of activity happening here over the last 30 days. That's really great. If there's activity not happening, now the admin has the information to take action on this and engage with the group. That's super powerful. The next chart here is current membership. So you can see how members are joining the group in the last 12 months and the last 30 days. That is really powerful as well. And then the last section shows you some key stats like number of members, number of posts, questions, and unanswered questions. The admin has everything they need at their fingertips right here on the engagement dashboard. However, I'm going to switch back to the group feed and continue on Eric's journey. So Eric wanted to make sure he has all the right information here. So let's type a post. Is this the latest file on the grinder? I have mistyped latest, but we can fix that really quickly. Let's click on the file that he has available. This is the Unified File Picker. So the Unified File Picker is a component that's available to you right now. We have made some enhancements, so let's talk about that. The Unified File Picker is a great way to upload a new file from your desktop using that blue upload button. You can also use any files that are available to you in Salesforce. This includes files that you own, files that were shared with you, recent files, and files that you're following that you have access to. In addition to that, we also connect with a number of external sources using Files Connect. That's our technology to connect to external file sources. Now, these files are just like Salesforce files. You can search for them, and you can share them, and you can leverage our enterprise sharing permissions, which makes them even more powerful.
But they stay safe and protected in their original repository, right?
That is correct. Yeah. They're safe and protected in your original repository.
It's one of the great features of Files Connect, which is really unique in the industry, is you can make files in these external sources social and mobile in the flow of business without moving or copying them from their repository.
Absolutely, David. So no matter where you store your files, that is okay. When you want to do work and you want to leverage files, whether it's in context of a community or sales or a case, you can use those files. In the past, we've connected to Google Drive, OneDrive, and SharePoint using Files Connect. However, in the summer, we've answered your major requests. We've worked really closely with Box, and we've brought that into Salesforce as well. So now, let's click on Box. You can see all your Box files organized the way you did in Box. Let's go into product info here. You can see a number of different files. So Eric wanted to attach the product overview, and so he will just do that right now. This is jumping to print. This is funny. Let's click add. So we've attached our files. That is awesome. Let's share this. Magical. So we were talking about files. Let's continue our journey on files and jump to the Files tab. This is our Files home. A lot of this is pretty similar to what you saw with the Unified File Picker. You can upload a file from your desktop. You can use any files that are available to you in Salesforce, and you can connect to external sources. That is all fantastic. One of the other things that's unique to Files Home right now, and we're extending to the Unified File Picker in a subsequent release, is libraries. So libraries are really key for a number of different use cases. If you're a salesperson, you want to store official files in libraries. If you're a community manager, you need to organize your files as well. Libraries are the answer. So libraries are not just folders, but they also have additional permissions. So you can share files with different people and give them different levels of access. So libraries are a really powerful way to organize and share files.
Wow, so this is access to Salesforce CRM content from within Lightning, right?
That's correct, David.
Cool.
So with that wraps up my tour of Lightning. Back to you, Mike.
All right, thanks, Harris. I can't wait to hear what our customers are saying because we just gave them a lot to chew on. Sam, what are we seeing from the Twitterverse?
Well, I want to clarify on the group engagement metrics. That works in Classic as well as Lightning Experience, correct?
Sure. Yeah, so actually, that's a great question. In Classic, if you are a group owner or manager, not a rank and file group member, but a group owner or manager, you have access to that dashboard. It's on the left side of the screen when you're looking at a group. And in Lightning, because it's this brand new experience, we give access not only to owners and managers, but in fact to any group member. So there's a lot of transparency around how the group is doing to all the members of the group.
Oh, somebody's going to ask me, I know. Can you turn that off if you don't want that for your users in Lightning?
Yes, you can. Through the app builder, you can just take it out.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, that's great to know. So I want to go over to files. I'm a big files user, love files.
Great.
And I love the fact that we're starting to work in conjunction with libraries and files and how they all work together. And can you share a little bit about the roadmap or what the plans are for that?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So with files, libraries are available through the API. They're available read-only in Lightning, and we have subfolders in the API as well. Over the next couple of releases, what we want to do is introduce subfolders in the UI. We want to have libraries available in communities, and that's happening in the winter release, so coming very shortly. And so all these great enhancements will be coming to you pretty soon.
So it sounds like that the files capability and then the content libraries capability, we're merging that into a more unified kind of experience for users. Am I getting that right?
That's a great question. So over the last year or more, we've actually unified files, chatter files, content, and attachments under the hood. So at the platform and API level, they're the same thing. In Aloha, we still have separate tabs for files and content and libraries. However, as you see in Lightning, there's a single files tab, and you don't see a number of different things. It's just Salesforce files. So technically, it's the same thing. And in the UI, we're enhancing the Lightning experience and bringing more and more of the features in there.
That's great. So don't think about them necessarily as separate things as going forward. So is what I'm hearing you say. That's awesome. Features for Box and what's coming next. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the cool things we have in Lightning is our vector graphics-based preview player. And that means even if you're playing a file on a large TV screen, on the Jumbotron at a Super Bowl, you can see it lossless. And that's available with native Salesforce files. It's also available with Google Drive files. One of the next things we are going to do is provide that functionality with Box.
Awesome, awesome. So Mike, we'll have more questions later as they file in, but let's go ahead and go back to these vignettes. Shout out, by the way, to how these vignettes have been organized from Carol. She loves this. So Mike, back to you.
Great. Thanks, Sam, and thanks, Carol, for the good feedback. And speaking of getting back into the vignettes, I'd like to hand things directly over to Natalia so she can discuss how we manage these interactions.
Well, thank you. It's amazing the kind of stuff you guys showed. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm really honored. It's a really exciting time for community management. We really set the bar in our previous releases, and now we have a fantastic set of features that I'm going to share with you today in the Community Management Console, which is really the heart and lifeblood of community management in Community Cloud. So before I start with the demo, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the hero of our story. Eric Ware is our community manager, and he's really the guardian of the brand. He wants to make sure that the community is highly engaged, that it's vibrant, that it's active. He also wants to make sure that it's very well protected against people who may be spammers or even bots. He wants to make sure that the posts are high quality. So that's what he's interested in. However, Eric has a very big community and very little time. And so he sometimes struggles a bit to keep track of everything, to know what's happening. And so what we've done is, with the new release of the CMC, we are really making his life easier. So with that, let's start our demo. So when we land in the CMC, here you can see the home page. There are a gorgeous number of graphs, and immediately Eric can tell what is the pulse of the community. He can see the member logins, the unique daily contributors, the number of cases escalated this month, etc. Now, keep in mind, this is highly customizable, so he can do whatever it is that he likes. On the left-hand side of the Community Management Console, you can see that we have this easy guide to everything that's important for Eric. It really helps his everyday flow, and it helps things move along seamlessly. So we have the dashboards that are gorgeous. Here are some examples. We have a section on engagement, so he can know what's happening right now or anytime. There's a section on moderation, so this is going to really help him protect the community. And then we have some other features around topics, recommendations, etc. My favorite, my personal favorite, is if we dig here into the engagement portion, under self-service, we see that we have a list of unanswered questions. Now, this is incredible, you guys. Right away, Eric can increase engagement. He knows exactly what are the questions that are not answered. He knows where to go. And so as a result of this, he can go in, provide answers, and we'll
he
have...
can just knock us off one by one. It's going to be really efficient.
Yeah. So this is really going to help him make the community much happier. They're going to get responses, and he's going to know that they need responses. Now, for Eric, there are times that turn a bit turbulent. There are times when his inbox starts to overflow. It turns out that there's a spam attack. So this is a really bad time for him. He gets anxious, he gets stressed, his boss is not happy, there are people complaining. What can he do? So previously, he was somewhat limited. With this new release, we have built tools that are going to help Eric solve this problem. So how do we do that? Well, it turns out it's pretty easy. What Eric can do is set up rules that are going to prevent these attacks right before they happen. So rather than him being very reactive and anxious and stressed, he's going to be able to be proactive about this. He's going to be able to catch the attack before it even happens. So how would he do this? Well, he would go into the moderation, and here you see that there are a number of rules that he can set. So the one that's really interesting for this particular use case is the threat detection rule. Okay, so what does that do? That stops the really bad posts before they even happen. And the way that this happens is Eric has set it up so that if a user is new, and if they've posted 10 times in 3 minutes, which is really hard for a regular user, he automatically is notified. Alternatively, if a new user posts 20 times, which is pretty crazy, in 3 minutes,
Wow.
they're immediately frozen. So right there, Eric's problem is stopped in its tracks before he has to deal with it in a way that's more reactive. So let's dig in deeper here. What you see is he has set up this wonderful rule. It is active. Selected criteria is newly registered members. And here we have the rate part of the rule, meaning that he looks at the timing in order to set it up. Now, you may ask yourself, well, what is a new user? What does that mean? And how would you set it up? Well, this too is really easy. All you have to do is dive into the member criteria. And here you will see a section for newly registered members. We click in there, we see that newly registered members are those who registered only in the last 7 days. So there you have it. Now, once these types of posters post, what happens to the posts? They actually go into the pending queue here, and they go in for approval. So in case Eric might have made a mistake with his rules, he can catch them here, and he can approve them one by one.
So this is really the pre-moderation that I mentioned is one of those really important 8 features.
This is a pre-moderation, and it's going to stop the spam attacks in their tracks. So even before they happen, and everything is seamless, it's automatic, it's beautiful.
You can sleep at night. You can know you're going to be able to protect your brand.
And you'll have a lot less bad email to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And one of the things I noticed was, as you're setting the rules, not only can you moderate feed posts, but you can also moderate files. That seems pretty powerful.
That is pretty cool. That is right. That's another one of our features. So let's just show off how we can create these rules. All you have to do is click in here into New, and what you'll notice is there are 2 types of rules that we can do. One is a content rule, so that would be based off of some keywords. Probably those are profanity or bad words. And then rate rule is based on the frequency of posts. So there you have it. Eric can now sleep at night. He can rest, no worries, no anxiety. Now, the other really fabulous part of this release is how easy it is to do bulk actions. So rather than doing things manually, one-off, having to look at many different places, you can handle everything in one place all at once. So here, if we look into the pending queue, you notice that we can select all of these posts in one shot. We can decide to either approve them, delete them. We can even do other things like freeze members, add them to the watch list, unflag posts, etc. We also have a beautiful filtering mechanism here. So we can look at different dates and so on.
So super useful for that 3-minute, 20-post spammer, right?
Yeah.
Delete all their
They
posts.
are gone. No worries at all. These are also highly customizable, so if we click here, what you see is that you can easily select which ones are important, what you want to focus on. So you can really tailor the CMC really for what you need as a community manager.
And we didn't show it, but I just want to point out that that community managers and moderators can actually now in Summer freeze users from their profile. So if you have that perm, if you're a moderator and you see someone who's behaving badly, you can actually freeze them from their profile as well, which is a really useful moderation feature.
Yeah, so with this, we have reduced Eric's anxiety levels. We have removed all the stress. Things are a lot more calm. He doesn't have to worry about them. And really, this is super exciting for us. We've been hearing community managers ask for these features for quite some time now, and now finally they get them. So that pretty much wraps up the CMC portion. I'll hand it over to Rachel next.
Actually, before we do,
Oh, that's right.
I actually would like to pause and ask some questions. I mean, we actually have an excellent community manager on hand right here in Sam Acuff. Sam, with your community manager eyes and what our customers are saying, what are some questions we have for the CMC?
Well, I think that the biggest thing is just the level that you can go down to with this moderation, because we have experienced spam out on the success.salesforce.com site as well. So, and then I'm also referring back to this question about partner communities. Some of the things that I want to understand this whole concept of criteria. So when I'm looking at the release notes right now, you can be notified when a partner contributes to right away for that first time. So let's talk about some different interesting use cases, not just from a spam perspective, but what are some of the other use cases that you've heard customers use this for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the potential use cases is simply to help the new users who are in the community. So as you might have seen, we've identified the new users and we put a time window on them. So in this case, we showed kind of a more malicious rule, really. But it doesn't necessarily mean that new users are bad. We want to help them. We want to onboard them in a way that makes them feel good. So what we can do as a community manager is say, okay, anytime we have new users, let's flag them, let's see what they're posting, and then let's proactively reach out to them and help them be welcome in the community. So that's one way that community managers can effectively look at the health, really increase engagement with these rules as well. There are many others.
It's increase engagement and protect your brand.
That's
Those are
right.
two really important pillars there.
I love that example of a welcome. We do a welcome email to our new users in our community, and it's just, I think that this just is going to enable us to tailor that even more, so that's great. I think we should see the last demo, and then we'll have more questions a little bit later.
All right, sounds great, Sam. So to wrap up the last vignette of our demo series, I want to pass things over to Rachel So.
Awesome. Well, good to see you all again. So I'm going to talk about the community builder. And in this scenario, we have Eric Ware again, but this time he's the admin of the community. And so he is someone who knows Salesforce pretty well, but he's not very technical. And so I'll show you how we can use our template-based platform, and Eric can easily manage pages, he can add new pages, and he can even add profile-based access to pages. So if you don't know too much about communities, there's currently two ways to build a community. The first way is through Visualforce, which involves a lot of coding, and it's the traditional way of doing it, but it can also be very expensive, and a lot of the functionality you want to do, may not be as friendly to an admin. I'll show you.
Fantastic. I mean, we have absolutely gorgeous Visualforce communities. What our customers said was, we want you to make this more clicks and less code, and the community builder was a response to that.
Exactly. And so on our Lightning platform with our template-based communities, that's how we allow the admin to configure these features with clicks, not code. So let's jump into our demo. So jumping into our screen, we see the Capricorn Cafe community that David had demoed earlier. And so we see that home page. We're going to go in and we're going to jump into the community builder. So we're going to jump into the builder. And this is the builder, and this is the template-based platform that I was talking about. So this is, if you've been to Dreamforce, you've heard about our Lightning platform. And we went Lightning because we wanted to make it easier for our customers to build these communities. So Eric lands on this page, and he sees very clearly a branding editor. And this is the area where he can easily configure his community colors. He can go in and configure the company logo, the header image. He can even change the action color. So he can change that search action color to green, and it will appear automatically here in this live preview. Additionally, we have also improved our language support in this release. So now we support end user languages, and we're extending our support to platform languages down the line too. So Eric can easily go here and configure how the page looks to a user that has a Spanish language preference. Now Eric wants to go in and he wants to, use the rich functionality of the drag and drop components David referred to. You saw those rich features in the community, and you can see them here now in the Lightning components list. So he can see all this rich data that is tied to Salesforce. He can see the feed, he can see that files list, he can see records, and he can drag and drop them onto the home screen to configure the community. Now, if Eric sees a component that, can't find a component that he wants to use, he can actually create his own. He can ask a developer to create one for him, or he can go to our App Exchange and find a really cool component from one of our partners. Here we see that we have a box file preview component that our partner Box has created for us. So now that, once Eric drags a component onto the screen, in this same page, he can actually configure it right on the dot with this property editor. So traditionally, something like being able to add views to the compact feed, adding likes to the compact feed, it's something you would have to dig into the code for. But in this situation, Eric can easily configure that. So I
just want to point out a couple of things I mentioned earlier, such as the tabs component, right? The ability to add any number of tabs and put whatever you want on them. Each one's kind of its own little palette, right? the ability to customize what shows up in those global search results, like all of that stuff takes place in the builder here, which Rachel is showing you.
Exactly. So this is the place where you saw those rich functionality and components. You can go in and drag and drop those components onto the page, arrange them how you would like, and that's how you build your community.
Exactly.
So I'll now go into the page manager, because this is where Eric wants to achieve his goal of managing the pages of his community. He can go in and he can create a new page. Creating a new page, he has two options. He can create a page that he can drag components on, or he can actually create an object page that's linked to Salesforce data. So here, Eric has a goal of configuring a page towards a specific user, Lauren, a community user who's logged into the community. So he can go in and he can find that home page we just saw and we were just on, and he can see the properties of this page, and he can also see that he can manage the SEO results of this page. So you can go in, we've added basically info boxes to show users how to configure these pages. We've also added an SEO best practices guide to show you how to optimize this page for search engine results. You can also add descriptive tags, and in this release, we've improved our indexing for search engine results, so they appear more readily in search engine results. So now that Eric, wants to go in, he has this version of home that appears to everyone, but he wants to basically configure a version towards Lauren, a logged-in user. So that's when page variations come into play. This is basically a page variation is a version of the site that can be targeted towards a specific user. So the home page we were just on, the Capricorn Coffee homepage, that's the default page for this community. Eric can go in, he can duplicate this page, and we see on this list of variations that Eric has already created a list of different types of versions of the page targeted towards different user types. The one towards Lauren is this Home for Members live variation. And we can see that if Eric wants to go configure this page towards Lauren, he can go in to the Actions menu, and he can actually manage the visibility of this page. So this is how profile-based variations work. So he can go in and choose from a list of profiles available in Salesforce. He can see and choose Capricorn Cafe member and customer portal user knowledge, two profile types that appear to Lauren. And he can publish those changes to show this variation to Lauren. So we can go in and we can see how this page will look towards Lauren. So we can go in and edit this page. So different from the home page we just saw, we see that this page is actually targeted towards Lauren. It has a banner image targeted towards Lauren. It has a different, basically, tab component that Eric can go in and configure to specialize towards Lauren. This is the new tab component that David highlighted earlier. Exactly. So this is new for summer 16. Eric can go in, and let's say he notices that there's not a topic area of this tab. He can go in and he can also configure whether topics shows up as publicly available or not. So you can go and save that. He sees that topic will automatically appear, and he can go in and actually drag a component into this tab. So we're going to go in and basically take our featured topic list. Give me a second. Here we go. Our features topic list, and he can drag it in, and it'll appear automatically.
Cool.
Wow.
That's nice.
He can also like drag and drop, and then it reorders automatically too. So he can then go and preview the site and see, wow, this is how it would appear to Lauren. And he can go back, and this is great, right? Targeted homepage towards Lauren, specialized content, and that's how profile-based visibility works.
That's amazing.
Nice.
And that's the end of my demo. So I'm ready to move into questions.
Me too. I saw a couple things in there that really caught my eye and I was not expecting to see.
Yes.
So I am very curious to see if our customers are catching the same things.
Awesome.
Sam, what are you seeing?
I think what we should do is kind of transition into rapid fire, because I do have some stuff across the board. Is that okay? Because I'll address different people.
That sounds fine.
Awesome. Okay, so Cindy is asking, the end users that have access to a community page, she just wants to make sure that she understands the licensing correctly. They don't need a Salesforce license, they're using the community licensing, correct?
So that's really, I think we will respond to licensing questions afterwards, just so
Okay.
we can give full information and
Okay,
et cetera.
alrighty. So one of the, we had a great question about the new insights reports in the dashboards that you were showing. How do they get access to those? I think that there's an app exchange package that they'll have access to later, or how do they get those?
Yeah, I think it's probably a best idea to take a look at the release notes for full details on that.
Okay, great. All right. Moderating private messages. What's new in moderating private messages? Because I know that there's some stuff that came out and we have some questions about that.
Moderating private messages within Chatter. So I'm not familiar with new features specifically relating to private messages. Of course, Natalia talked about a lot of the new moderation for feed posts, but the actual Chatter feature known as private messages has, not to my knowledge, been enhanced in Summer
Okay.
16. So, but I can certainly look into that just to make sure.
Okay, already. And the last release, we came out with broadcast groups, and now they're available in templates. And we have some customers that are interested in the use cases for broadcast groups. What are they? Why would they use them?
Great question. So broadcast groups are a fantastic place to disseminate information from the top down. Essentially what you do is when you create the group, you flag it as a broadcast-only group, and what that means is that only the owners and managers can post. Right? Everyone else can see posts and can comment on existing posts, but they can't create new top-level posts themselves. So it's a great group for all company or HR announcements or that kind of thing.
Oh, great, great. I have a question about Box, and if we need to take it offline, that's fine. Is the Box API configuration installed on Salesforce, or do we have to go through more setup? So they're interested in using Box with files.
Sure, yeah. So when you want to set up with Box, there are a couple of steps you have to do on the Salesforce side, so you make sure you set up correctly. All the series of steps that you have to take are captured in our release notes, so that would be the best place to look at to answer that question.
Great, okay. So there is some configuration, and they should go use help and training or the release notes for that.
That is correct.
Perfect. I have somebody who's interested in what kind of dashboards and reports are available in communities outside of being in a community manager. So besides what we showed inside of the group, from my understanding as a community user, those dashboards and reports aren't available to you. It's through the community management and that side of things that they can see reports and dashboards. So could you clarify that for us?
So there are a number of really great reports that we have that are available for community managers, and they're from the community management perspective. And these are highly customizable, and it's essentially whatever it is that you like. You have a wide menu of things that you can put in there. So that's on the community management side of things, if I understood the question correctly.
And then is there, besides what we saw in Lightning Experience with the group activity, are there any reports or dashboards available for community members?
There may be ways to give access to community members to Salesforce reports and dashboards. We'd have to take a look at that. There's probably
Okay.
a number of ways it can be done.
Okay.
Yeah, it could definitely be done. You can create a component for it.
Exactly. That's one of the nice
Exactly.
things about it. You can create a component for almost anything. There may even
Exactly.
be some more out-of-the-box ways of doing it.
All right, okay. And then I have another question from one of our Salesforce MVPs. They'd like to understand more about how to get an audit trail in their community management. Is there any auditing capabilities in the background?
There absolutely are. There's a whole section for auditing, and I think, again, best thing to do is to take a look at some of the release notes. That's one of the features that we had in the previous versions, but it's not something that's brand new.
All right, let me check and see if there's anything new. This is a great question from Andrea. Can we use Community Builder Lightning components in a Visualforce community?
Good question. I think there may be ways to expose or frame Lightning components within a Visualforce-based application. Not being a developer, unfortunately, I couldn't exactly tell you how to do it, but that's certainly something that we can look at and get back to you.
We
with
might
that.
bring Eric in on that.
Exactly.
That's a great question for him. A Box question. When adding Box to the community, can you limit users to only certain files? For example, just show their account statement or things like that.
So the great thing about enterprise sharing that's available in Salesforce is you can pull in Box files, you can organize them however you want in Box, and then share them to different records or different groups, or share them directly with different users, and also share those files to libraries. So through that, you can in fact share files to different set of users for different use cases and provide either viewer or collaborator access. So definitely possible.
All right. And then I'll just take this one last question from Samantha. Is the new global search function a new Lightning component, or did you simply enhance the existing search component? So she was watching carefully when you guys were doing the demo. In other words, do we have to replace our existing component for this new feature?
Rachel, do you happen to know that?
It's an upgrade to the component. I believe it's the
existing
property, yes. Like all
component in Lightning
you can
Community?
configure a lot of those features in the property editor that I showed you.
Okay, alrighty.
So they may need to upgrade, upgrade some version if they're in an older version, but
Yeah, I believe you obviously have to upgrade the community to the latest release, but then that search component should provide that capability.
yeah.
Awesome, awesome. That was a great last question. And Mike, back to you.
Great. So I do have one question/comment for Rachel, and then I've got a question for David that you might have a slide to speak to.
Cool.
But Rachel, for you, something that really stood out for me was the SEO advice or the SEO best practice that we're now offering customers. Now, is that technical SEO best practice, or is that more of the tactical, how to best?
Well, in the past, we really, and it was hard for people to find the SEO section.
Yeah.
This release, we really called it out a bit more. We added that best practices guide so people know if they want to optimize for SEO, if they want to make their community public facing, they can go there, they can read the documentation, and they can add the information that will optimize for that.
Absolutely. It just seems that before we added those to the community experience,
Yes.
we were really being very assumptive that our community users had their hands wrapped around this already. They already had the expertise they needed. For those of our customers who didn't necessarily have that expertise, this seems like a really great value add for them.
Definitely, and we've improved our indexing too, so it's going to be great. They'll be able to see them in search results.
Great news for our customers.
Yes.
David, so my last question for you, I guess, is just sort of a big picture question.
Sure.
What's next for communities?
Great question. So just to take it back to the very beginning, remember I talked about enabling the system of record to work with the system of intelligence to support these great customer-facing, which you saw, communities, partner-facing communities, employee-facing communities, and really anything else that you can dream of, and to provide a rich, well-moderated experience across all of those. And so that's really what our roadmap looks like. So first of all, we can talk about the rich experience. We're really doing an all-out push on theming and branding so that instead of having the really sharp and traditional tile-based view, which is great, you can have whatever view you want. So here in the image here, you can see the whole screen has been taken over by an image. Getting down to the point where you can actually theme individual pages, and of course control who sees what based on things like profile, and on the roadmap, of course, safe harbor, but other criteria like geolocation, role, of the user, other things like that. Of course, we're going to keep pushing on moderation, making that easier. We want to bring the full surface of CRM, so all of those objects that you're used to, we want to make sure those all work seamlessly in Community so you can build out whatever kind of application you need. And of course, when you put this all together, you get things like this new, really improved customer community, plus the ability to make community templates that really focused on any industry, any vertical, any use case, partners within medical device sales, et cetera. And it's all with drag and drop of components. Now, that's a good segue to talk about our partner ecosystem. So one of the strengths of Salesforce is we have this enormous partner ecosystem. You can get almost anything you need off of AppExchange. Well, we've added actually a component exchange to AppExchange. And in fact, there are already 10 components up there that you can get and use. Two good examples are Vidyard, which provides video integration, and Get Feedback, which provides you the ability to integrate surveys into your communities. And we're just going to keep growing this exponentially. You'll be able to package up pages and entire templates. So if you're an ISV or a system integrator, you can create an app, package it up, put it on the component or the AppExchange, and allow your customers to download it. And finally, of course, as I said earlier, we're the collaboration people, right? So we're always pushing forward there. We want to make it seamless for you to collaborate in the community, in Lightning, as Harris showed you, we're doing all this great community stuff, but we're not forgetting to make it even easier and like more productive when you work in Lightning. So we're doing things like adding or porting and improving the private message capability that's in Classic Chatter to Lightning. Making groups even more customizable. They will have a live feed, which means you don't have to refresh the feed. Just new posts just kind of come on in for a much more live experience. And then, of course, IQ, Natalia's area, making sure that we kind of like serve you up what you need to do your job. The top content, related content, questions, articles, files. Showing you the most relevant feed posts in a group so that you can consume them not only just in chronological order, but you can also actually sort and see which ones are the most relevant or have the most activity or the most informative. So hopefully that gives a good idea of the roadmap. It's really more and better of what we showed you, all under safe harbor, forward-looking, of course. But we're very excited about what's coming out in summer 16 and what is yet to come.
Excellent. I think we said it very well on the panel earlier. This is a very exciting time to be in the community cloud.
Yeah, definitely.
And based on what you're showing us, I think that trend is going to continue.
It's growing and really dynamic, and it's really a privilege to work here.
And thank you for sharing it with us. All right, well, that's about all we had to share with this session on the community cloud. And that's also a wrap for all the live content that we had for Summer 16. Now be sure to go to www.salesforce.com/release readiness to catch recordings of all of our live content. Additionally, we pre-recorded some bonus content for you that you can only find there. So again, that's www.salesforce.com/release readiness. As a final point before we sign off, we are also offering a survey on this exact same website that you're using to view this webcast right now. So if you can do us a favor and fill out that survey and provide us with some feedback on how we can improve the experience for you, we'll return the favor. We'll enter you into a raffle to win one of 50 Salesforce 50th release t-shirts that we're offering that you may have seen some of our colleagues wearing throughout our broadcasts. So finally, thank you to the product teams. Thank you to Sam Acuff. Thank you to the great Salesforce Live crew that's been servicing us for these broadcasts. And most importantly, thank you to you, our customers. It's incredibly important to us that you invest your time and energy into making Salesforce a critical part of your businesses. And your time spent with us gives us all the reassurance that we need that we have the best customer base in the world. So thank you.